Hello. I am making this video to tell you about my 2006 Crown Victoria LX Sport. I'm making this video because after owning it for over 13 years, I'm going to part with this great vehicle. I bought it in Miami, December 2008. I'll give you a little bit of a story about that. But I've been working from home since March 2 years ago, March 2020. And once that happened, I wasn't really driving much anymore. Then I decided to retire 6 months ago. And I really wasn't driving. So I decided that I would like to just buy myself a new car. Not a used one again. Just a brand new vehicle that I don't mind not putting a lot of miles on. So I'm downsizing. I don't need quite the size for carrying kids. So I'm downsizing in size, but upsizing in engine displacement. But let me tell you a little bit of history about the vehicle. I was looking for a car to be able to carry my kids in the back seat because I had a pickup truck since '93. They didn't have king cabs back then, just extended cabs, and it was getting more dangerous to carry kids in the back seat because the headrest was a glass. Always wanted a Crown Vic Sport, LX Sport, really hard to find. But I found this one on Autotrader the day it came up at an Infiniti dealership in Miami. And I got a good history about it from the head of the used cars at the dealership. It was owned by an elderly gentleman who lived with his sister, and unfortunately he passed away. Left it to his sister, who wasn't the kind of vehicle for her, so she traded in on an Infiniti. And I found that the very next day it had less than 6,400 miles on it. I found the paperwork, the original paperwork, bill of sale, behind the spare tire. And the gentleman traded in. They had a 1996 Mercury Cougar XR7, black. So the man definitely liked black vehicles with V8 engines, and trade that in for this great Crown Vic Sport. And I had all his records. There wasn't anything really had to be done on it, but he changed the oil 3 times in 6,000 miles. So he took care of it very well, and I just hope that he may be looking down and be happy with the way I've taken care of this thing over the course of the years. So let me talk to you a little bit about at least exterior. I had the car repainted 2 years ago down in Florida. Here, the clear coat gets a beating, and the top surfaces were getting slightly faded. Clear coat was going, so I had the whole car completely repainted, stripped down to metal, primered and repainted. The top surface still getting a little bit beat on, say, from the sun, but it looks pretty darn good. And gets lots of comments wherever I go. Exterior also, I put the lip spoiler on the back. Some people call it a Marauder spoiler, but this was an option in the Crown Victoria brochures before the Marauders came out, get in the body color, except older folks that were buying the Crown Vic weren't getting the lip spoiler. I also blacked out the chrome with, it's called Trim Bright blackout tape. It's just tape. And I liked all the black look. So I did that. And that takes some constant maintenance. I have a roll that I'll be including with the sale, but you know, I'm always like repairing, like just re-sticking on new parts. I got the windows tinted. Oh, in the front, I replaced the front, original front grille, which is color coded on LX Sports with the Police Interceptor style. It is a Police Interceptor grille. I like the honeycomb grading on it, plus the larger Ford symbol. It just looks cool rather than what they call the Billet grill, which is like vertical or horizontal veins, look like a Gillette razor blade. So that's it for the exterior. I've replaced the headlights to make sure that they aren't faded. I have LED lights on them, but I also have a set of the original halogens, brand new actually, because sometimes people look like the LEDs. They're really bright. So I'll continue going around the vehicle as I talk about what I've done. If you're looking for an LX Sport, they're really hard to find. It's like a unicorn car. If you're looking to spend $5 grand on a Crown Vic, then I suggest just get yourself a P71 Interceptor. They're all over the place. You can get one with 100,000 miles for $5 grand. But I'll tell you, they're road hard, put away wet, and they have a lot of they could have a lot of issues. I always see people having problems with transmissions on those because they're ridden hard. So if that's what you're looking for, go get it. Don't look for an LX Sport. There was, in 2006, they made like 757 of these, and in black, like a little over 400 black LX Sports in 2006. That's, if you break it down by state, that's like 8 cars per state. You don't see many of these around. So if that's what you're looking for, get yourself a P71. A lot of guys, from the websites buy P71s, and they change them mechanically on the outside. They put fancier wheels on, lower it a little bit because the interceptors sit up a little higher. They'll sometimes get them repainted, but they want them to look like a Crown Vic Sport, but you can't change the chromosomes of the car. It will never be a Crown Vic LX Sport. It may look like one, and it may even act like one, but it really won't be the Crown Vic LX Sport. So, some of the things I've done with it, let me step back. I had the front springs replaced with Eibach Front Springs. It lowers the vehicle about 1.5 inches. I lowered the back a little bit. It's adjustable with the air springs, but I didn't lower it all the way down because I wanted to have pressure back there. I didn't want the air springs to be completely deflated so that it stays stiffer, and I like the little bit of rake look about it. I had one of the best shops in town that does custom suspension work, Nixon Black, do the work for me. I bought a cam kit, which is a larger cam for camber adjustment, and they wallowed out the slots in the frame a little bit so that you can put the bigger cams in and get the alignment just right. And they did a fabulous job. And the one there, guru guy, took the car out for a ride. He was like, wow, this car drives great. I replaced the shocks all the way around with KYB Gas Adjust, excellent shocks. Then for the anti-sway bars, I put Addco Anti-sway bars on it. Now the way it goes in Ford, the way Ford tiers everything, the Crown Vic LX Sports had a certain diameter front and rear sway bars. Then the P71s went a little bit bigger diameter. Then the Marauders went a little bit bigger diameter. Well, the Addcos are bigger diameter than that. So people who have Marauders go with the Addcos. And the Addcos have polyurethane bushings, so they'll last forever and they're really tight. And then what I did is I also replaced the endlinks with Moog endlinks, which are bigger, beefier endlinks. So you're going to put new, thicker sway bars on, you should just put bigger endlinks as well. I don't think a lot of people do that. And they also have grease fittings, and I usually grease them every other oil change. And then I put on, I replaced the upper and lower rear trailing arms on the axle with Heinous. They're called Heinous control arms, made by Metco. They're billet aluminum, 6061. Aluminum is not as stiff as steel, and the stock ones across the board for all Panthers are stamped steel. They don't have a very stiff cross section. These have like a I-beam cross section with some lightning holes. They're lighter and stiffer, and polyurethane bushings. And you can see they're a little dirty, but you can maybe see the holes there on the trailing arm. That's the lower trailing arm for the Heinous control arms, and the polyurethane bushings tighten up their axle a little bit so that I really did feel like it had better throttle response. I'm going to sign off now and redo another part of this video because I'm running out of battery power.